Making headlines. President conveys National Day greetings to the Amir of the State of Qatar, His Highness Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, and the Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs of Qatar, His Excellency Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdurrahman bin Jassim Al Thani, on the occasion of Qatar's National Day. President announces that businesses registered under the Authentic Maldives program have been authorized to sell their products through Alibaba.com. And Vice President Hussein Mohamed Latif says Maldivians are eager to bring home the Central Asia Volleyball Association Kawa Cup 2025 trophy this year.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to PSM News in English with me, Abdullah Ahil. And now the news in detail. President Dr. Mohammed Muiz conveys National Day greetings to the Amir of the State of Qatar, His Highness Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, and the Prime Minister and Minister for Foreign Affairs of Qatar, His Excellency Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdurrahman bin Jassim Al Thani, on the occasion of Qatar's National Day. In separate letters addressed to the Amir and the Prime Minister, President Muiz extended his warmest greetings and best wishes on behalf of the government and the people of the Maldives to the leadership and the brotherly people of Qatar. He reaffirmed the Maldives' firm commitment to strengthening and expanding the long-standing friendship between the two nations. The president highlighted Qatar's role as a close and valued development partner of the Maldives, expressing appreciation for the strong bonds of friendship, cooperation, and people-to-people ties that continue to enhance bilateral relations. He noted that the establishment of the Embassy of the Republic of Maldives in Doha earlier this year marks an important milestone that will further facilitate engagement across multiple areas of partnership. President Muiz also conveyed his best wishes for the good health and well-being of the Amir and the Prime Minister, as well as continued peace, progress, and prosperity for the people of Qatar. In addition, the President shared his greetings on his official X account, extending felicitations to Qatar's leadership and people. In the post, he expressed confidence that the excellent relations between the Maldives and Qatar will continue to flourish while acknowledging Qatar's long-standing contributions that have benefited the Maldivian people. Qatar's National Day is observed annually on the 18th of December. President Dr. Mohammed Muiz announces that businesses registered under the Authentic Maldives program have been authorized to sell their products through Alibaba.com as part of a wider strategy to strengthen the creative industry and expand access to global markets.
The announcement was made during a consultation with local entrepreneurs where the president addressed ongoing challenges related to foreign currency exchange. He said that under the new arrangement, 400 vendors already listed on Alibaba.com will be able to market their products internationally, provided they remain registered under the Authentic Maldives program. Officials described the initiative as a key step towards opening international market channels for Maldivian manufacturers and reducing logistical barriers associated with cross-border trade. President Muiz also highlighted progress in discussions with PayPal, expressing optimism that the service could become available to Maldivian citizens by January. He said this would significantly ease international transactions for local entrepreneurs. In addition, the president said the Bank of Maldives is preparing to launch a locally developed digital wallet, Swipe, in the first quarter of next year. The bank has described the platform as a major milestone in its efforts to position itself as a leading digital banking institution in the region.
President Dr. Mohammed Muiz announces a package of regulatory measures aimed at easing logistical and financial pressures on small and medium-sized enterprises, with a focus on improving operations at the country's main points of entry. Speaking to business owners, President Muiz said the grace period for cargo to remain at the airport without incurring demurrage, charges will be extended from 80 hours to 124 hours. He also announced that customs and cargo clearage services, which previously operated on limited schedules, will move to a 24-hour operation to speed up the processing of goods. The measures address long-standing concerns raised by the private sector over operational inefficiencies at Maldives Airports Company Limited, where delays have resulted in high storage costs for importers. The president said coordination with customs authorities will extend operating hours beyond the current 18-hour limit, helping to reduce fees and improve the flow of imports. In addition, President Muiz outlined a fiscal arrangement that will allow businesses to offset taxes owed to the state against payments due from the government. He also said the administration will review migrant worker quotas and simplify vehicle registration procedures as part of broader efforts to improve the business environment. Vice President Hossein Mohammad Latif says Maldivians are eager to bring home the Central Asia Volleyball Association, or KAVA Cup, 2025 trophy this year. He made the remarks while speaking at a ceremony held at the Maldives Center for Social Education, or MCSE, where jerseys were officially handed over to the Maldivian women's volleyball team ahead of the KAVA Cup for Women 2025. The Vice President praised the team's talent and dedication, offering words of encouragement and wishing the players success in the upcoming tournament. He also urged the public to extend their full support to the national team throughout the competition. Recalling last year's tournament, Vice President Latif said he had watched several matches played by the Maldivian team at the KAVA Cup and witnessed their strong performance in the final. He noted that the team's display, particularly in front of home supporters, demonstrated that Maldivians are capable of bringing the trophy home. He further reaffirmed the government's commitment to promoting volleyball and assured the association of its continued support and cooperation. The Vice President added that the Ministry of Sports, Fitness and Recreation remains actively engaged in developing the sport nationwide and encouraging greater youth participation. Minister of Homeland Security and Technology Ali Ihsan says that 509 foreign nationals have been deported since the 15th of November as part of ongoing efforts to address illegal immigration in the Maldives. The minister made the remarks during a press conference held to brief the media on the work of agencies operating under the ministry. Providing an update on measures to regulate the foreign workforce, Minister Ihsan said the government is implementing Operation Kurangi in multiple phases. He explained that the first phase involved collecting data on foreign nationals residing in the Malay region, while the second phase expanded data collections to foreigners working in residential islands, industrial islands, and tourist resorts. As part of the process, biometric data, including fingerprints and facial recognition, has so far been collected from 202,000 foreign nationals. The minister said that the third phase of the operation is scheduled to begin next month. From the 1st of January to April next year, authorities will intensify efforts to regularize undocumented foreign workers. Minister Ihsan said individuals whose employers have not officially taken responsibility for them, as well as those who have absconded, will be given an opportunity to obtain valid work permits. He added that a special enforcement operation will be launched from the 2nd of April 2026 until the 1st of May 2027 to arrest and deport foreign nationals who remain in the country illegally. Minister Ihsan also noted that the 509 deportations carried out since November involved individuals whose biometric data had not been recorded. With these, the total number of foreigners deported over the past 2 years has reached 9,697. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs announces plans to convene a ministerial-level forum with China next year aimed at strengthening tourism cooperation and expanding bilateral investment. The announcement was made during the 7th session of the Joint Meeting Mechanism on the Safety of Chinese Tourists in the Maldives. The meeting was co-chaired by State Minister for Foreign Affairs Sharina Abdul Samad, Chinese Ambassador to the Maldives Kang Xianhua, and State Minister for Tourism and Environment Dr. Abdullah Niaz. Speaking at the meeting, State Minister Abdul Samad highlighted the significance of the Chinese tourism market, noting that arrivals have reached 320,000 this year, making it a key pillar of bilateral relations. She said the planned forum, to be organized in collaboration with the Chinese embassy, will focus on enhancing visitor safety while also strengthening destination marketing and expanding investment opportunities. Officials at the meeting stressed the importance of coordinated enforcement of regulations and the need to strengthen safety standards, particularly in water sports operations. State Minister Abdul Samad urged all stakeholders to prioritize regulatory compliance, safety awareness, and comprehensive insurance coverage, describing these measures as vital to maintaining the confidence of the Chinese travelers. Minister of Youth Empowerment, Information and Arts Ibrahim Wahid announces measures to ease operational challenges faced by civil society organizations, including the provision of free facilities for non-governmental organizations.
Speaking at the Civil Society Awards ceremony held at the Youth Hub building, Minister Ibrahim Wahid said the first floor of the facility will be designated as an NGO working space and made available free of charge. He said the initiative aims to address the long-standing shortage of venues for meetings, forums and organizational activities within the civil society sector. The minister noted that access to the facility will be limited to registered organizations that are compliant with regulatory requirements under a policy framework currently being developed. He also referred to previous state funding provided to 15 organizations for island-level projects, noting that the implementation has been inconsistent. Minister urged these organizations to overcome delays and fulfill their commitments, stressing the importance of ensuring that intended benefits reach the public. The ceremony also recognized 7 organizations for their contributions to national development. The Women Empowerment Association of Tinadu was honored for its advocacy on rights, Care Society for its work with persons with special needs, and Tuladu Silver Shine Club for its educational initiatives. Additional awards were presented to Shai Rungewadi for cultural preservation, Clean Maldives for environmental stewardship, and the Alzheimer's Society of Maldives for health advocacy, and Girinda NGO for its efforts in drug prevention.
Insights into business. A senior minister of Sri Lankan government says Sri Lanka expects its economy to expand by more than 5% next year, matching this year's pace and significantly outstripping IMF projections, partly driven by reconstruction efforts following the widespread destruction caused by Cyclone Ditwa. The storm hit in late November, killing nearly 650 people and affecting about 10% of Sri Lanka's 22 million population. It caused major damage to infrastructure, farms and tea estates, with rebuilding costs estimated at up to $7 billion for a country still recovering from its 2022 economic collapse. The Indian Ocean island has been receiving funds under an IMF bailout program, while additional emergency assistance has been pledged by global agencies and foreign governments for it to cope with its worst natural disaster since the 2004 tsunami. This month, the Asian Development Bank committed $200 million for the country and the World Bank $120 million. The country's Labor Minister and Deputy Minister of Economic Development, Anil Jayanta Fernando, says the IMF is expected to improve Sri Lanka's request for emergency funding of $200 million.
Our task is to do the right thing at this moment, bring more and more investment, so maintain this economic trajectory. So as I just highlighted, the 5% growth and will gradually increase by aiming medium-term growth more than 7%. So this is the target line.
Fernando said this year would be more than 5%, higher than the central bank's 4.5% projection based on numbers in the first 3 quarters of the year. He expects similar growth next year too. The IMF has predicted 3.5% in 2025 and 3.1% next year. To repair damaged homes, restore infrastructure such as roads and railways, and rebuild livelihoods, Fernando said the government would divert funds from other areas, utilize excess money we have already in the Treasury Department, tap money given by donors, and seek support from other agencies as well. He said Parliament is expected to approve $1.6 billion in supplementary spending, funded partly through the reallocation of ministry budgets when it convenes on the 19th and 20th of December. Taking a look at world affairs, with general elections just months away and its billionaire patriarch in prison, Thailand's embattled Pheu Thai Party is banking on another member of the divisive Shinawatra clan with little experience in politics to help mount a comeback. Yotchanan Wongsawat, 46, the nephew of former Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra and son of Yomchai Wongsawat, Thaksin's brother-in-law, is unveiled as the leading candidate from Pheu Thai's 3 contenders for Prime Minister in the February 8 general election.
First of all, it's time to move Thailand forward. Okay, so that would be mandatory. And the second thing is right now we are on the intersection of making the new decision. So as the candidate for the Prime Minister, you have 2 choices. You would go for the same system, or you would move forward for the new system with science and technology need to embed into every growth engine of the country.
A dominating figure in contemporary Thai politics, Thaksin was jailed for 1 year in September for avoiding an initial prison sentence for conflict of interest and abuse of power while he was prime minister from 2001 to 2006. Thaksin's daughter, Paitongtaran Shinawatra, was ousted as prime minister by a court order in August over a leaked June telephone call during which she appeared to kowtow to Cambodia's powerful former leader Hun Sen, until recently a close Shinawatra family ally when both countries were on the brink of an armed conflict. Fighting erupted weeks later and flared up again on the 8th of December. Pheu Thai support has nosedived during the upheaval and this month polled at only 11.4% in a nationwide survey conducted by the National Institute of Development Administration from 13.96% in September and 28.05% in March. Yotchanan says that he believes that Pheu Thai's political legacy, including populist policies like universal health care and cash handouts that won it years of support among people in the country's rural areas, can still help. Aware at the drop in popularity, Yotchanan also recognized that the party may not outright win in the election. The European Union tries to lend Ukraine tens of billions of dollars as support from Washington wanes. Russia ekes out gains on the battlefield and Kiev edges closer to a funding crunch early next year. The 27-member bloc is discussing borrowing against Russian assets held in Europe frozen by sanctions after Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. However, the plan to tap roughly $245 billion of Russian assets in Europe, the lion's share of which is now cash, remains contested. Fears of retaliation by Russia and Belgium, where most of the money is stored, have bogged down discussions, prompting EU officials to devise creative ways of unlocking the money without formally seizing it. EU leaders are due to meet this month to decide, but continued objections in Belgium, which fears being left on the hook if sued by Russia, are confounding efforts. If attempts to use Russian assets fail, there is an alternative: borrowing using headroom in the European Union's shared budget. This would, however, push Europe, already heavily indebted, further into the red. Unanimous EU agreement is needed, and Hungarian Premier Viktor Orban has dismissed the idea, urging Brussels to stop funding a war that cannot be won.
Russian frozen assets are mainly assets which belong to the Russian Central Bank. Well, there are other assets owned by Russian companies and individuals. Some of them are sanctioned, some of them are not. But here we are talking about Russian sovereign assets.
Ukraine's funding needs in 2026 and 2027 are roughly 135 billion euros, about 52 billion for running the country and 83 billion for defense. The European Union is seeking to have this money in place by the second quarter of 2026. It has proposed a reparations loan paid for by the frozen Russian cash. The deal would require Euroclear to invest the cash in a debt contract issued by the EU. It works like this. The European Union borrows cash from Euroclear, lending it onto Ukraine. Ukraine would repay the money, but only after it has been paid compensation by Russia for the damage caused by the invasion. Other financial companies with similar frozen Russian property, including in France and Germany, would also be drawn into the scheme. About 90 billion euros would be given over 2 years. Moving on to world sports, Paris Saint-Germain and France forward Ousmane Dembélé is named FIFA Men's Player of the Year in Doha, with Spain and Barcelona midfielder Aitana Bonmati winning the Women's Award for the third year in a row. Dembélé was instrumental in PSG's first Champions League triumph when they beat Inter Milan 5-0 in the final and scored 35 goals last season across all competitions, including 21 in Ligue 1 to finish as top scorer. The 28-year-old, who won this year's Ballon d'Or in September, was part of the PSG team, which also swept all before them on the domestic front last season and reached the final in the Club World Cup. Bonmati, the Champions League Player of the Season, also won the Women's Ballon d'Or for the third time in a row this year and helped Barcelona win the domestic treble along with reaching the Champions League final. The 27-year-old also reached the Euro 2025 final with Spain, losing the decider to England on penalties, and Bonmati was named Player of the Tournament. Serena Wegman won the Best Women's Coach award for the fifth time after leading England to retain their European Championship title, and Luis Enrique won the Men's Coach award after taking Paris Saint-Germain to their first Champions League win. The Best Women's Goalkeeper award went to England and Chelsea's Hannah Hampton, who played a major role in the Lionesses' Euro 2025 win with her penalty shootout saves, and also won the domestic treble with her club. Italy's Gianluigi Donnarumma, who now plays for Manchester City, won the Men's Keeper award for his role in Paris Saint-Germain's treble win. Mexico's Lisbeth Ovalle, who won the FIFA Marta award for the best goal in women's football for her scorpion kick for Tigres against Guadalajara in March. Santiago Montiel won the Puskás award for the best men's goal for his overhead strike for Independiente against Independiente Rivadavia during an Argentine Primera match in May. Concluding with light news, engineers at the University of Surrey in southern England runs a laboratory study that uses motion tracking technology and configurable floor panels to examine how different surfaces affect balance and falls in older adults. In the experiment, volunteers are fitted with reflective markers while infrared cameras capture how they stand and walk across test areas where the stiffness of the floor can be adjusted from soft to hard. Researchers analyze changes in posture, step length, and overall stability to see how much the surface under a person's feet alters their chances of losing balance. The team also treats the floor itself as a passive sensing surface to map how people move across a room and to flag patterns that may signal a higher risk of falling.
So the idea about this project is create a floor in their home. So for two main reasons. One is no matter what we can do in terms of improving the built environment, that we can significantly lower the risk of falls, but fall is inevitable. So when we get older, because of many reasons, poor eyesight, medication, also slow response time, fall are going to happen.
The current phase focuses on healthy adults of different ages, with a particular interest in people aged 65 and over, and looks at how they respond when asked to perform simple standing and walking tasks in a controlled indoor setting. The data will be used to build computer models of how the body interacts with the ground during a fall and how impact forces travel through the hips, spine, and head. Mohagigyan added that getting the balance between floor softness and stability will be key. The Surrey team aims to use the findings to guide the design of smart flooring systems that feel firm in daily use but deform on impact to absorb energy, potentially lowering the risk of serious fractures and head injuries in hospitals, care homes, and private housing. The project is still at the laboratory stage, and the team says wider deployment would require industry partners to help turn the experimental flooring system into a product that can be installed in care homes and hospitals. According to the World Health Organization, or WHO, globally, about 1 in 3 adults aged 65 years and over suffers a fall each year, and falls are the second leading cause of unintentional injury deaths. And that's all the news we have for today. We'll be back with any further updates. Until then, I'm Abdullah Ahil from PSN News.